been a while since I made some Sonic content, and I'm pretty sure we all know why. Ugh, thank God this project's all over and done with. But over the time of me being busy making this huge project, lots of news on Sonic Frontiers came out, and I haven't been able to cover them, as well as the question of, will I enjoy Sonic Frontiers? I asked you guys on Twitter if I should make this into a video in the first place, since the idea sounded a bit stupid because, well, the game isn't out yet, and I haven't played it yet, so with weeks away from the game's release, at the time of recording this that is, I think it's time that I make this video. Now before I go into the why of I'm asking if I will enjoy this game, I want to clarify. This is a Sonic game, and if you haven't noticed by now, I'm a big fan of this franchise. As a Sonic game, yeah, I can see myself enjoying it for the first few times playing it. I mean, the music that got released recently sounds amazing, and the voice acting seems like a massive upgrade from the past games. And the animations? Oh, this is a step in the right direction. Well, as much as I can tell that Sonic is a little bit more expressive than he was in Forces, I hope that the animations as a whole are a great improvement overall. So far, everything sounds great. Gameplay can be changed mid-game to your liking, besides in the cyberspace levels, that is. Cyberspace reusing level designs, though, not a fan of that. However, there is something in this game that has me sort of worried. That being the open zone. The open zone is actually something similar to open world, but I'm gonna be completely honest, I actually have no idea what the difference is between open world and open zone. It's something that I'm not too much of a fan of in general. I have played games that are open world / zones before, and for the most part, I'm not a fan of them. But there are a few games that did do open world / open zone and did enjoy it. So what's different with Frontiers? I specifically chose 3 games that do open world and open zone differently from one another. So I'm gonna be going into these games and what it is that there is to do in these open worlds and zones, as well as the gameplay itself. I also want to mention, out of all these 3 games, 1, these are not Sonic titles, 2, these are just my opinions on said games and mine alone, so yes. 3, I'm not saying that all these games should all be the same and shouldn't be compared into too much detail. And 4, think of me picking these games as I was picking different categories. So without further ado, let's get started with game number 1. Okay, so starting off with Super Mario Odyssey. I was originally going to do either Super Mario 64, Sunshine, or both Galaxy games. However, Odyssey felt like the right option, not gonna lie. Not only is it the most recent games in the mainline Mario series, but I also feel like it's the least linear out of all the open world Mario games I've played. Yeah, going from point A to point B is still there, but you're still able to avoid the main path of the game. As I started a new file and played the main game, you'll be able to find a lot more moons around the open area. This allows you to skip big moments in the game. For example, after beating the first boss in the desert world being one of the Brutals, you can move away from the main story of the world's second act, collect more remaining moons, and move on with the next part of the game. This is actually great for players who do love speedrunning games, and for those who just love to explore hub worlds a lot more, without having to go through the main story first, that is. Me personally, I kinda like to get the story out of the way first and then do the exploring. Outside of exploring the worlds and finding hidden moons, you also got side missions and puzzles to solve. There are many ways of collecting moons in this game. There's actually 180 moons in total to collect in the main game itself, including the ones that you buy in the shop with the coins that you collect, which actually allows you to reach up all the way beyond 999 moons total in the game. There's also various ways that you can travel from point A to point B. You can run to said point, you can use fast travel, or if you wish to explore the specific areas that you can't reach normally, you can capture an item or an enemy to reach said areas. Underwater secret area? No problem, capture a Cheep Cheep. High place you can't reach? No problem. Capture a high jumping enemy. Can't break large rocks to go through said path? No problem. Capture a large enemy and knock down said rocks. There are many things to do in this game besides the main campaign. Other than all this, I choose Mario Odyssey since it's one of the games on the list that has the most amount of platforming. For combat, there's not much I can say. You can jump on enemies and you can throw your cap at them. And that's it. Alright, next game. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Alright, where do I begin with this one? I'm gonna start off by saying that I cannot judge this game without even playing more than 3 hours of it. I also want to point out that no, I'm not saying that this game is bad in any way. I've seen later gameplay and moments from the game, and I do think that this is a great game. However, it's a game that I just can't really get into that much. Let's get the open world out of the way real quick. First impression, I love it. I love that you can go anywhere at any time and anyhow. Now, Breath of the Wild is the game that Frontiers is being compared to the most. Both games have a similar style and design-wise, and you can tell that Sonic Frontiers was inspired by this game. This game also has combat, however the combat is very different to the one seen in Frontiers. Link's combat is more sword fighting, archery, and so on. There's a lot of ways of dealing with enemies in Breath of the Wild. In Sonic Frontiers, however, the combat is more shonen anime-like, with different projectiles being thrown as well as fast-hand combat. We also have some minigames that are somewhat similar. Both games having fishing minigames. As far as I know, Breath of the Wild has fishing minigames, and of course we know that Frontiers has fishing minigames because Big the Cat is right here! And with the new DLC from Monster Hunter for Sonic Frontiers, we also get a cooking minigame along with it. From what I've played in Breath of the Wild, gameplay is fine and all. It's just a game I can't seem to be interested enough to carry on playing it. Maybe someday I'll come back to it and give it a full-on chance with Nathan by my side, since he's technically completed Breath of the Wild. But overall, I'm just mid with this game. I don't hate it, it's just not for me. Okay, before I even get into this next game, you're probably gonna think that this sounds a bit too unfair that I'm bringing up this game to compare to Frontiers. But let me explain. GTA 5 is a game that I absolutely love. No doubt. And no, I'm not talking about gameplay-wise, it's not a platforming title. It does have slight combat, but it's nowhere near to these other titles. This one, if anything, it leans more into the defense side of things. Again, it does feel unfair to bring up GTA 5 to compare to Sonic Frontiers of all things. So for this one alone, I'll just focus more on the open world side of the game. First, the traveling. If you wish to travel by foot around the map, you must be mad. This map is massive compared to these other titles. So, the ways of going through places vary, from roads to sky and water. As for side things to do in the game besides the main story and side quests, there's so many things to do. You're literally playing in an open world sandbox, where you're freely to do anything you want, hang with friends, and other adult-related stuff. Yes, comparing the stuff to do in GTA 5 with Sonic Frontiers really doesn't work well, but I thought I'd bring it up. Now, as for Sonic Frontiers, I cannot say much as I have not played the game yet, but from what has been seen and released, I think I can enjoy Frontiers for what it has to offer as a Sonic game. Even the things beyond the main story and the side missions, but the question is, will I enjoy it as an open world / open zone game? Well, that we yet don't know. It all comes down to what there is to do in the Starfall Islands besides fishing with Big the Cat, solving puzzles, and the eventual DLC of cooking. So I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see until Sonic Frontiers drops. Again, I can still see seeing this video a bit too stupid to make, giving out thoughts on a game that I haven't played yet, but given from the open world titles I've played before, I think I can see myself enjoying Frontiers as a Sonic game and as an open world game. So, if you still think that this video is actually way too stupid to make and you think I made a bad decision, then just leave a comment down below saying, bruh, next time just stick to making thoughts videos and things that we have seen already.